good? Okay. All right, we will go ahead and call the commission meeting to order, and we will have, Mr. Commissioner Randall, as soon as I get my folks straight here in my head, lead us in the invocation, and Mr. George will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this wonderful day you've given us, Lord, and our wonderful city and our wonderful country, and we thank you so much for the freedoms that we enjoy, and we pray this evening, especially in the days and months and years to follow, that you be with the leaders of our country and help them to make the good decisions for all of us, and be with us as a commission, help us to make good decisions as well, and pray you continue to look over all those that are serving overseas and in our country, our military, and be with all of those, our families and friends, and all those who are spread out this holiday season, and help all the traveling to go safely, and just put your hand over us this entire end of the year, Lord, and there's a lot going on, and keep us safe and in your care. Continue to bless us and be with us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Carla, would you please call the roll? Here? Here.
Here.
Here. Okay. All right, next is the agenda approval. If there are any items on this evening's agenda that need to be removed from consideration, now would be the time to do so.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve this evening's agenda as given.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda as given. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, next we'll move into citizen recognition. Mr. Ray?
Mayor, we do not have citizen or employee recognition for this meeting.
Okay. However, thank you everyone who's here in the audience tonight. We love seeing new faces. I know you're here for reasons, but we're glad to see you guys here, yes. All right, employee recognition. Neither.
None.
Okay. All right, then we'll move into the consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda will be voted on with one motion. If there are any items that do not meet the approval of the commissioner, that item may be pulled for discussion under items from the consent agenda. Okay. Hearing no items to be pulled, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Ms.
Second?
Okay, motion and a second to approve this evening's consent agenda as given. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, no items from the consent agenda, so that moves us to citizens' input. If there's anyone here this evening who would like to address the commission on any items not on this evening's agenda, you may have up to 3 minutes to do so, and we need you to sign up on the form at the clerk's table. No? Okay. All right, then that brings us to land use hearings. Item A, 2016-018, zone change from O1 Office and Institutional District to C1 Limited Retail Neighborhood Commercial District with a conditional use to allow a brewery tap room. Okay, so I'm going to read through a script that we have to go through to begin with, which outlines the processes, and then we will begin. So the following hearing procedure is for the hearing on tonight's agenda. A land use hearing registration form is located on the clerk's table for those who wish to receive a copy of the results from this hearing. You must provide your full name and current mailing address in order to receive a copy of the land use hearing order. If you wish to testify and provide comment on the matter at issue, you must register with the clerk on the land use hearing registration form and be sworn in with staff, the applicant, identified parties, witnesses, and interested persons. The meeting tonight will be conducted under procedures mandated by the New Mexico Court of Appeals in Battershell versus the City of Albuquerque, which are intended to protect the due process rights of all parties. Under this ruling, the following procedures will apply. Parties to the meeting will be identified, as will any witnesses the parties may wish to give testimony, as well as any interested persons wishing to testify and provide comment. City staff has a responsibility to assist the Commission in fully developing the meeting record and may testify. All persons offering testimony will be sworn in by myself, who is authorized to administer oaths. All persons offering testimony will be subject to cross-examination by Commission, City staff, and the parties to the hearing. Testimony will be limited to the relevant matter being heard. The item to be decided at tonight's public hearing is a zone change from O1 Office and Institutional District to C1 Limited Retail Neighborhood Commercial District at 119 South Church Avenue with a conditional use to allow a brewery tap room. Is that address correct? Church Avenue?
Yes. I know, because I live
It's-
there.
Chuska, though, right? Isn't that the official address of the building?
Two addresses on the building.
Okay, one is 119 Church and one is 119 Chuska? Okay. All right, testimony will be limited by myself. For the purpose of this meeting, applicants okay, are defined as, and I am missing names. Do you have the sign-up sheet? Okay. So for the purpose of this meeting, applicants are defined as, we have Mike Pascal representing, and don't, okay. Don't we need to state either the church or the city as the applicant?
The church mayor will be the applicant, represented by the city.
Yeah, on the staff summary, it shows the Aztec Presbyterian Church as the
Alright.
applicant.
So let me pull that up. Okay. So the applicant is defined as Aztec Presbyterian Church, and we have Ed Cotique with the city of Aztec representing them, okay? And so that's the applicant. And then we have an interested party, Mr. Mike Pascal, who's here this evening also. And you'll be representing 550 Brewery, correct? Okay. Okay, so that we have one applicant and then one interested party. Are there any other individuals who wish to be identified? So forgive me, this is a little bit different case, and so it's gonna take us a little bit to get through this. Other persons, let's see, may be designated by the commission as parties if they can show to the satisfaction of the commission that they have an immediate pecuniary or direct interest in the outcome of the meeting. Witnesses are those persons designated by parties to present testimony on their behalf. Interested persons are those persons interested in the case but not identified as either a party by commission or a witness by any party. So aside from the applicant, which is the Aztec Presbyterian Church, represented by Ed Cotique, and city staff, are there any persons who wish to be identified as a party to these items? Okay, seeing no one. Okay, so that leaves us with Aztec Presbyterian Church, Ed Cotique is a representative, Mr. Mike Pascal is an interested party. Okay, does the city commission accept these two individuals, Aztec Presbyterian Church represented by Ed Cotique as the applicant, and Mr. Mike Pascal representing 550 Brewing as an interested party?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, since no one else has come forward, then as we move into the land use hearing part of the meeting, I'll ask these questions. Is there a challenge to the jurisdiction of the City of Aztec Commissioners to hear any of the hearings on tonight's agenda? Seeing none. Are there any conflicts of interest or personal biases to be declared by a commission member?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have there been any ex parte contacts regarding the upcoming matters that a commission member needs to declare?
No.
All right, at this time, will the staff and the applicant, parties identified by commission, all witnesses and any interested persons wishing to testify regarding the zone change from office and institutional district to C1 Limited Retail Neighborhood Commercial District at 119 South Church Avenue with a conditional use to allow a brewery tap room, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, please be seated. Okay. Testimony and evidence must be directed toward the zone change from O1 Office and Institutional District to C1 Limited Retail Neighborhood Commercial District at 119 South Church Avenue with a conditional use to allow a brewery tap room, and any applicable federal, state, or municipal laws or regulations or criteria which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford us and other interested persons an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal on that issue. Any party, as identified by the Commission, may request a continuance of this hearing if able to provide documentation or evidence in support or opposition of the application, in addition to what was available at the time that notice of this hearing was provided. In the conduct of land use hearings, unless there is a continuance, if a participant so requests before the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, the record shall remain open for at least 7 days after the hearing. Okay, the order of presentation is on the screen to your left. I'll quickly go through the parts that are relevant for this evening. First, staff will summarize the staff report to the extent necessary to enable those present to understand the issues before the commissioners. The commission members may then ask questions of staff, and they may be cross-examined by the applicant and parties. Next, the applicant will have up to 15 minutes to address the commission. The commission members may ask questions of the applicant, and they may be cross-examined by staff and parties. Okay, so we don't have parties, but then we do have an interested person, and that person may have up to 5 minutes to address the commission if they so choose. The commission members may then ask questions of the interested person, and they may be cross-examined by staff and the applicant. The hearing will then be closed to all testimony. The commission will then make a decision and issue findings of fact and conclusions of law, move into closed session pursuant to New Mexico Statute 10.15.1.H-1, the Open Meetings Act exception, continue the public hearing until a specified time, or take the matter under advisement and announce the recommendation at a specified time. Okay. So as we begin the hearing portion, then we will have staff summarize the staff report. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Sure.
Well, good evening, Mayor Burbridge, Commission. We are gathered here for application 0182016. This is a request from the property owners, Aztec Presbyterian Church, represented by Ed Cote of the City of Aztec, for a zone change from its current use, O1, Office and Institutional District, to C1, Limited Retail/Neighborhood Commercial District, with a conditional use to allow a brewery/tap room for the property located at 119 South Church Avenue. Subject property is approximately 0.32 acres, and according to San Juan County Assessor's website, a two-story, 368 square foot building constructed in 1962 sits vacant on the property. This request comes before the Commission to allow for the combination of office use and retail sales. The City of Aztec plans to implement a center for business development and incubation, otherwise known as the Hub. This request, if approved, allows for more flexibility and to allow for service establishments such as cafes, clothing stores, and the possibility of a brewery under the C1 zoning district uses. Now, to clarify, the reason Aztec Presbyterian Church is the applicant, as they are the current owner of the property. And so we don't want to zone change anything without their permission. And so that's why it's Aztec Presbyterian as the applicant. Now, under the Limited Retail Neighborhood Commercial District, this zoning district is intended to accommodate a neighborhood-oriented, low-intensity retail sales and service use in commercial clusters. The C1 district includes specific standards designed to ensure the compatibility with residential scales and style of the neighborhood they serve. The C1 district enables a mixed-use neighborhood commercial district with certain neighborhood protection. The following uses are permitted in the C1 district: without prior approval of commission. Living quarters, offices, hotel/motel, institutions, retail and service establishments, stationery stores, laundry stores, furniture stores, beauty shops, Sunday stores, art stores, studios. These are the uses that can go into the C1 district without commission's approval. Now, there's a list outlined in the staff report. It includes others. In addition to that, there's conditional uses that need to come before commission before they're allowed to go into this location. And I'll just highlight a few that are in the staff report. Real estate offices, which is very similar to offices in the limited retail neighborhood as an allowed use. Storage structures, recreational facilities, hospitals, auditoriums, boxing arenas, billiards, dance halls, and similar activities of the nature. Those all need to come before commission before allowed to go in this area. Now, any use that's not specifically listed needs to come before the commission as a conditional use. Now, in any zone change request, the city, the commission, and the community needs to understand the costs and the benefits before moving forward. There is externalities that arise, both positive and negative, when any type of zone changes occur. Some of the negative are the possibility of noise, increase of traffic, a use that's not in characteristic with the neighborhood. These need to be considered, these need to be scrutinized before any type of zone change moves forward. However, there's also benefits that could arise. Will this new zone change allow for an increased commerce? Will it lead to a more vibrant area? Will it take an area that's vacant and put life and commerce into that parcel? Remember, this is a land use decision. So the hub and 550 that's subleasing it that intend to go into this location are temporary. A land use situation deals with the land, so it carries on for the future. And see, these are the considerations that commission, the city, and the community need to take into consideration. Now, in looking at the zone change, staff needs to be aware of, will this O1 current zoning go to a C1 zoning district, create adverse impacts to the surrounding area? Will there be increased noise, bright lights, smells, and other externalities? If proper mitigation is in place from the current business and the city enforces certain codes, such as noise regulations, then these areas, these externalities can be mitigated. Another area that needs to be considered is this a spot zone? Is this a zoning district that's out of place with other zoning districts in the area? And I'll just highlight real quick. This is where we're at right here. That orange block, that's 119. And this is the property. This is an aerial up close. Surrounding businesses to the west. And when we talk about a spot zone, we need to understand what the zoning district is. O1 to the west, you have C1. To the north, you have O1. And to the south, you have R1. So right now, based on looking at this map, it is not a spot zone because there is commercial to the west. So it does not meet that criteria. Now, we had to ask ourselves, is this zoning district, is this potential use out of characteristic with the neighborhood? Well, yes and no. You have Rubio to the west, C1 district, retail sales, food, alcohol. But then, on the other side, residential. So this is something that needs to be considered before going forward. As you can see, there's retail also in a residential district to the south. And then there is residential uses directly to the north. And this is just to give you an idea. I'm sure we're all aware of the facility. This is some of the work that has gone into the facility. This is just to give you an idea of what type of construction, what type of work has been in the process. I apologize for this slide. The lights make it difficult, but this is just to give you a layout of the footprint of the building, both first floor and second floor. Now, in conclusion, because it's not a spot zone, because there are similar uses to the west, and if measures to mitigate noise, sound, traffic are in place, community development believes that approval of this zone change is appropriate with the following conditions. It's trying to strike a balance between commerce, trying to take a vacant property and put some life into it. We believe this will be a benefit to the community. However, we understand that the neighborhood needs to be taken into consideration because at the end of the day, they're the ones that could lose so much. If there is noise, if there is traffic, if there is any type of those externalities, that essentially can hurt the project. And not only will that be bad for the neighborhood, but that will be bad for the community. So we believe that these conditions in place will protect the neighborhood and at the same time allow commerce to continue in a vacant spot. And with that, I will stand for questions.
I have a question, Stephen. And this is just because it's in the record here, and a couple of things that need to change under the project description. On mine, anyway, it came in for the dimensions being a total of 1,400 square feet. I think it should be 14,000. Do you guys see that on yours?
Where are you?
Right here, projection, project description
Oh, it's missing a
/
zero.
facts.
Oh,
The project description.
It's 14 comma space 00, so yeah, probably.
Yeah, we just need to
Maybe
add
the
another
spaces
zero
are that.
since this is,
first page of the staff summary. Yeah, first page.
Dimensions.
yeah.
Okay.
Just because it's going in the record, right?
Under dimensions,
Yeah. Keep going.
1,400
First
instead
page
of-
the staff
Yeah,
summary.
There you go.
And then another one, and
Right
again,
Above your mouse.
In the dimensions.
there.
There you go.
Just okay. Did you hear that,
All right.
Commissioner? Yeah, there's a separate findings of fact, conclusions that goes into record at the end.
so the summary doesn't go in at all? No. All right, because there was another one that said dawn to dust. It should be dusk.
That summary is only to present information to the commission, but for a legal document, it's the findings of fact. And then, of course, if there's a zone change, then the district map changes. Those are the things that go into the official record.
and Madam Mayor, if I may, I think the record of tonight's proceedings will show that that's a typo, and it's actually 14,000 instead of 1,400.
And I had another question. Since before, when we've talked about this building, we've always talked about the 2 addresses. Do we need to add the second one on Cheska for this, or we're just going with the
The 119,
119 South Church?
yes.
Okay.
Both addresses are within the 911 system.
Oh, okay. So basically,
That's why they're presented as 2 points for the same building.
So
Here's the point of
Time.
so the back suites and offices would be the 119 South Chuska.
Ye-
And the hub address would
East
be the-
East Tuesday, yes.
Yeah, East Chuska, and the hub address would be the,
The 119
church.
South Church, yes.
okay.
If people were to use the south entrance off of Tuesday, yeah, that address could be utilized. Or if the hub of the brewery needed delivery, they could reference that address point, and then the delivery would know to go to the back or the southern side of the building and not to the front of the building. It was done that way because
So it's just in the 911 system, not on the county records? County records list it just as the Church Avenue?
Yes.
Okay, because I brought up this question before months
Yeah.
ago, that there was 2 different addresses. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
I had a question on the noise, because it says, noise can't exceed the 50 as measured within 20 feet of any exterior wall of a hospital, school, nursing home, or church. So if anyone else on the street has, a noise complaint, where do they take it from? Do they have to go to the school, or, if a church isn't in service, they don't go to the church. Does that make sense? There's nothing about a resident
The
complaint.
way that provision in the city code is written with that 20 feet, it's supposed to be so you can't have essentially an institution making a lot of noise and whatnot so close to a resident. So it's in place primarily to protect as a residential protection. I think that's the goal or the intent
Right.
of that code. To answer your question, who does it go to, or who?
Well, it doesn't list a resident,
Where would you
though.
measure it?
It just says
But it doesn't,
If they-
it's
if they wanted
assuming
to-
the hub
Yeah.
is like the hospital.
the hub
the
is that.
nursing
So it's
home,
20
the
foot
church.
from that
From the
building.
hub.
Okay.
Correct, yeah, so we would go back from
I
parcel
see.
line essentially and then go back 20 feet.
Okay, from the hub.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was confused as.
Right.
Okay.
And
Where
that's
they would
our
take-
standard noise ordinance.
That's
Right.
right out of the
It's
city
not-
code, that's, yeah.
Alrighty, thank you. That was my question.
Other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Susan. Okay. So at this point then, Mr. Pascal, you're the only interested party. Did you have any cross-examination, clarification questions for Mr. Saavedra? No. Okay,
Ted Nugent,
okay.
Hey.
he's above 50 decibels.
All right, so next, the applicant has an opportunity to address the commission up to 15 minutes. Mr. Fatigue.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, everything's pretty straightforward here. We had done discussions as to what was the best method to approach this, and what's being presented to you tonight was the best method to approach dealing with the hub and the property. If you have any questions, I'll answer whatever I can, but
Okay,
there were other things that were considered, but the code would not work with this situation.
right.
I do have one question, and I think I know it, but I'm not 100% certain. The conditional use, if 550 leaves, it leaves with 550.
Correct.
So even if it's set up as a tap room, if another one came in, we'd have to do another
Have to redo
conditional
it.
use. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So any upcoming use that's outside of what's
Yeah,
specifically allowed.
other zoning districts were considered like a PUD, but it would, the property would not qualify for a PUD. We thought about special use, but that didn't work because that has to do with health, welfare, and safety.
Well, yeah.
A C1 district was more appropriate with attachment of a conditional use.
Okay. And a PUD is what?
Planned unit development. It requires 3 acres of property in order to use. And the thing there is with the PUD, it requires public hearings and commission approval, much like a
Alright.
conditional use.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay. Apologies, Ed, I didn't give you the chance to cross-examine Stephen there. No? Okay. Okay, so,
We've already done our
I'm sure you did, but in the interest of due process, Stephen, do you have any cross-examination for Ed? No? Mike, cross-examination for anything? Okay. Okay, that being the case, then, Mr. Pascal, you have up to 5 minutes to address the commission if you choose. Okay. All right, any questions for any of the entities, the applicant, city staff, Mr. Pascal? No? Okay, we're good to close testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, any further discussion among commission?
I think with the conditions put in place for the conditional use, they're good things, so
Okay,
I appreciate those. very much, so. I don't think we have a problem with it, but I like that they're in there.
Okay. Any other discussion? No? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve the request by Aztec Presbyterian Church to change the zoning for 119 South Church Avenue from O1 to C1 with a conditional use to allow a brewery tap room, accepting findings of fact 1 through 10.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Did you capture that motion, Carla? You good? Okay. Would you please call the roll? Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone who came for this item this evening. All right, moving on to business items, Aztec Sparkles Incentive. Do you want to lead the discussion, Mr. Ray? Do you want me to?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Mayor. So the item presented now is it pertains to our Aztec Sparkles event and to the incentive for the lighting contest. This incentive was created last year. We went through a lot of discussion about at what level would we provide incentives for businesses. The participation utility credit was decided at $75. The first place $3,000, second place $2,000, and third place $1,000. I think initially I'd even proposed $5,000, $3,000, $2,000, or something even greater in those amounts, and was told that was dumb. That was by staff, not by commission. And so this year, based on the economy, there were discussions that we should remove those utility credits for this year's competition. We would still encourage businesses to participate. We would still encourage homeowners, residential, to participate. However, we could remove those credits. At the last commission meeting, the discussion was we should decide if we want to bring this up for an agenda item. If we do, what are the options? So before you tonight, we have this as an agenda item. As defined in the staff summary, there are really three actions. There's action 1, which would be no action, and that would be leave the utility credits as they were last year, which, as we discussed, is already included in the budget, would not take action by commission. Option 2 would be to change the amount of the individual credits, and option 3 would be to completely remove the credits for the lighting contest this year. We could still have a lighting contest, we just wouldn't have rewards for those members that were first, second, or third, and we wouldn't have a participation credit.
Question. I'm not sure if it's for you or for Kathy. So, and I was just trying to look through monthly reports. I don't see something specific to the electric utility account or the utilities account that lets me know where we are comparative to budget on our revenues and expenditures.
Well, and I'll tell you, Mayor, from the date as of the
Unless
first.
I'm just not seeing it.
Looking at the utility account from the first, are you comparing, do you want where the revenues and expenditures are, or where revenue to budget? Yes.
I guess maybe revenues and expenditures to budget, because what I'm trying to get at is where are we, the health of that account that this would be coming from to help us in making the decision about.
Numbers as of 11/1 from the finance department show that the electric utility is plus approximately $600,000. So from
Revenues.
July 1 to November 1,
Okay,
estimated revenues over expenditures.
okay.
But revenue to budget, I don't have that number in front, so I couldn't tell you. Maybe Kathy could randomly pull that.
I'm sorry, Kathy, I'm getting dirty looks.
Well, it's in the monthly report.
Where, am I just not knowing where to look? So joint utility operating and maintenance, okay.
This is all of these.
Adopted budget.
You see, they created a diversion so you could sneak out. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Have a good night,
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so help explain this to me.
Okay. So what this report shows is.
Do you guys need to come
you
look
guys
so she
clear?
can point to it? Okay. It's on page 13.
Okay, so what this report shows, it breaks down between revenues and expenditures. You have an adopted budget, which is what came before commission.
The 14,813.
July. Of that amount, as of the date of this report, 3.3 have been collected, or 22.6% of the budget. Then we have expenditures and encumbrances. Encumbrances are purchase orders that have already been issued. Again, total budget, the amount actually expended, encumbrances, those are at 44.3%. Recognize that this 4.6 million that's encumbered is primarily the wastewater line. that's throwing this off because that's a project that will
Right.
continue until probably May, June.
And really doesn't have impact on the specific electric utilities, but it's all
Well,
lumped together,
Right,
right?
because we have a joint
Right.
utility fund, we don't have a fund for each of the
Right.
individual utilities. So where this is encumbered, this makes up, like I said, this is a large project that won't be complete until June, May or June. At this point, there's another 9 months of revenue that's gonna be coming in here
Mhm.
as well.
It's, okay, wait a minute, repeat that.
4.6 is encumbered,
Right.
which
but-
is for the sewer.
Right,
And that
and you
entire
said it
amount's for the
wouldn't-
sewer?
A very large portion
Okay.
of it is.
Yeah, and so you said that some of that wouldn't be encumbered until June?
No, it is all encumbered.
It's all
But the
encumbered
revenues will
Right.
be coming in.
But the
Okay.
revenues won't be recognized
until,
as,
right,
as
as
we
they
do
come
the
in.
drawdowns
Right,
for that project.
okay.
If we took that amount out, would it give us a clearer,
Well, you would have, revenues that have actually come in are 3.3, funds that have actually been expended are 3.1.
okay.
But we
So
are
it's fairly
legally
even.
obligated to
Right.
4.6 also.
Right, right.
But this 14 million
Mhm.
in the adopted budget for the revenues includes the assumption
That
that
we
we
were
would
doing.
continue the credit.
Right.
So the 10 to
Right, doesn't
15,000 is
alter this and make it look
already
worse,
out
right,
of
right.
this number.
Okay. Okay. I think. The next question occurs to me. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, if there are no further questions, then I would entertain a motion.
Well, how can we entertain a motion on this when there's 3 different choices?
We pick one.
You pick one and make a
Discuss.
motion on it if you so choose.
All right, and just for the record, Carla, in this, the reason that I suggested that we pull it is because the financial state of the state and the cities and everything else keeps changing month to month and not in a good way. And I know that $10,000, 875 does not sound like a lot. I don't know what's also included in that. It was the 2 last year, $250 honorable mentions, so that would have been another 500. I don't know if that's in there because Delaine's not here. So, and although it doesn't seem like a lot, to me, all of these small things add up. This whole Christmas lighting contest thing, we had talked about a couple of years ago. It takes an awful lot to get people to participate. For 2 years, I walked to every business in town and filled out the forms with them and took them in. I don't think it would be detrimental to the city. I think people already have their lights, they're going to put them out. I'm just into saving money whenever we can so we don't have another 350 to 500,000 shortfall like we had at the end of fiscal year 2016.
So I'm going to share, I honestly think we need to leave it in place, and here's why. When we talk about what the city's doing to support local businesses, when we talk about what we're doing to help encourage growth and stability in the businesses in our community, to me, this is one of the few tools that we have to actually support directly the businesses that are in our community. And in general, the businesses that do participate are the small, independently owned. The large ones in town, like Safeway, and the big corporate ones don't participate in this by and large. And, you know, here's the thing. If they choose not to participate because we didn't knock on the door and hand them the form, I don't feel like that's our responsibility. I feel like our responsibility as a city, whether it's this program or any other, is to provide the platform for the businesses to utilize to do business.
But they have to know about it, Mayor. And that was part of the going to the door, because even though it's in talent and sometimes in the utility bill thing, a lot of
But it-
times they get overlooked.
I understand that, and yet that's not our responsibility to make sure that everyone out in the community, that we knock on their door and make sure that they understand everything that's going on. There has to be some personal responsibility And we've done the lighting contest for 2 years previously. If they're interested in doing it again, then it's gonna be on them to find it and participate. We can post this through Talon, through Facebook, through those regular channels, and I understand that those don't reach everyone. But I also feel like there needs to be some ownership on the behalf of those who want to participate. So we're not going to agree, I understand that. So anyway, other questions, comments?
I'm in support of seeing it continue. I think we've got a pretty healthy utility fund. I think it could support it.
I am a huge fan of Christmas and Christmas lights, and I loved seeing the downtown last couple of years, walking downtown, seeing the lights. I love that we give them credit for participating. I think everything's going good. I'm looking at the numbers. I've been playing Christmas music for like over a month now.
Oh, my God.
I'm a Christmassy guy, and I love the idea of what we do for this at Christmas time.
Yeah, and for me, this is because times are tough, and I know that they're tough for our businesses. This is when this may benefit them the most. So, anyway. Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve that we continue with the Aztec Sparkles lighting
If we
contest.
want it to continue as is,
As is.
we don't need a motion.
Oh. Well, then I retract that motion.
You're welcome to make one, but there's no action required. So, last call, is there a motion? Okay, hearing none, then it stands as is. Okay. Okay, then that brings us to city manager, commissioner, and attorney reports. Mr. Wright.
My report was going to be election results, but since no one cares, I have no report, Mayor.
I'm watching.
It's not that we don't care, we're trying to postpone
There you go.
I noticed
the
that.
news.
There you
I
go.
thought I was sharing.
I also have no report for this evening.
I don't
Commissioner
either.
Rogers? No?
I gotta kind of skedaddle
Yeah, I
anyway.
was wondering. Commissioner Randall?
I would just like to report that I'm excited for Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up. Encourage everyone to be safe and happy, and Merry early Thanksgiving and Merry early Christmas. So excited.
I apologize, Mayor. There
Not at
was
all.
where we dedicated the
Pilot's Lounge?
thank you, the pilot sound. That was nice. That was quite a pretty healthy little turnout. Commissioner McClure and Sype were there too, and I
My
think
apologies, I could not be there.
no, it's all right. I think it meant a lot to the family though. It was nice to
Good.
see them there. Right.
Wonderful support by the commission.
Good.
I thought, in my number, I thought there was 50, 60, 70 people there. It turns out there was right at
35?
38 was the number, including the newborn. But it seemed like there were so many people there.
Yeah.
And what a great event. And Pat and Mike Jr. were both very appreciative, and the turnout was phenomenal. The comments on the pilots or the airport managers listserv have been phenomenal for showing support for both Mike and for the commission for taking action for the recognition.
Cool.
The dedication's been well received.
Good. Okay, so I need to back up. I do have one question that I wanted to ask. Back to staff reports, golf course, finance. These numbers that are presented, this is year-to-date, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Year-to-date as of the date of the report.
Fiscal year to date, right?
yes, fiscal,
Okay,
okay, okay,
thank you.
all right. You already did yours. Commissioner McClure, sorry.
Actually, I would like to take this time to acknowledge a few of the Aztec City employees. I went to the Senior Center Halloween party, and I've got to say the set and the way that Cindy and her crew decorated that senior room was absolutely unbelievable. I've been on Hollywood sets that look like that. Her attention to detail is phenomenal. And even though it was only like a 10-minute skit, 2 songs, I mean, the lighting, everything was just so professional and so perfect. It was just unbelievable. I'd also like to acknowledge Ed Kotique, who I am now nicknaming MacGyver, for the work that he did at the airport, because I remember seeing that fascia board that hangs down, and it was horrid, and I was like, how are they ever going to make that look good? And he did, with a little more than spit and glue, but with some reclaimed wood he put on the inside and everything. So, you know, you throw a bag of trash at Ed, and he'll make something pretty out of it. I'd also like to acknowledge Commissioner Sherry Sipe for always being there during election year. I know she works very hard. She does the absentee ballots. And also Angela Watkins from the library, who has always worked the elections. I would have too, like I have for the past 6 elections, but we had a commission meeting tonight. But I think both Sherry and Angela, who have done it probably for a decade at least, deserve some acknowledgement, because it's a long day. It's not just the 12 hours that it's open. You have to be there early, you have to stay late, you know, Carlos. So I just wanted to acknowledge them, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Thrower?
Just a couple things I'd like to add my kudos for the Airport Pilots Lounge dedication. I know I talked to Pat, and I think she was overwhelmed with the city's interest in and willingness to remember Mike in that fashion. Just also to remind the commission, I'll be out of town the end of this month, of 30th and the 1st and 2nd of December for the New Mexico Municipal Attorneys Association meeting in Albuquerque.
Thank you. All right, department reports. Nobody. All right, then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All right, thank you, everyone.
I think we should try that trash idea and see what happens.
Start just throwing random trash at Ed.
I got a bucket. Who's with me?
I was thinking, it's